I've never been a person who is good with numbers, like basic arithmetic. And honestly, this skill is one that some people have and others just don't. But just because number concepts don't come naturally to some students does not mean that they are incapable of building number sense. This week's guest is an expert in helping students succeed in math by focusing on number sense and how this skill plays a part in comprehension. Plus, she also gives some ways to incorporate number sense into your daily math block. Welcome to Upper Elementary Simplified, the podcast where busy and overwhelmed teachers find thoughtful ideas to get students engaged in meaningful learning experiences. Hi, I'm Danna Rodebush, former fifth grade classroom teacher and founder of Teacher Tech Studio. I'm here to share practical tips and strategies that will help you grow as an educator. If you are a tired upper elementary teacher searching for ways to cut down your planning time while boosting student engagement, you are in the right spot. Are you ready? Let's simplify. Hello. Today we have another guest on the show who is one of the contributors to Math Madness. Last week I chatted with Laura from Cool School Comics, and today I have Amy Dickson from Amazing Materials for You. Amy began her teaching journey in 1987, and she has taught every age from babies to fifth grade, as well as college and graduate school. Her expansive knowledge and experience in many educational roles, including classroom teacher, literacy coach, reading interventionist, and current gifted classroom teacher, have led her to realize that teaching math is her true passion. I am excited to welcome Amy to the show. Welcome to the show, Amy. Please tell my audience a little bit about you and how you serve the education community.
Hi, I am Amy Dickson of Amazing Materials for You, which in short is AM for Y because it's an acronym of my name. I started my teaching journey in 1987. I was in another career and it was not working out so great for me, so I decided to go to graduate school and I was an assistant teacher in a preschool while I was in graduate school. And I have taught babies through fifth graders as well as college and graduate students. I am currently a third grade teacher in an advanced academics program, which is also known as a gifted program. And so I work with very high achieving, extremely bright, very curious kids. And I love it. That's definitely my niche, my jam. Um, I am the mom of two young adult daughters. I have a Maltese dog and two cats, and I enjoy traveling very, very much, reading, hiking, and singing in my spare time.
That is awesome. Very cool. Well, I was a second career teacher as well. So we have that in common. So I know that you like to talk about number sense and the importance of number sense. So talk a little bit about number sense in the elementary grades and why it is so important for students.
Yeah, I have been teaching fifth or fourth grade since 2011. And so those students were coming to me with a pretty solid foundation of number sense that they may need a little bit of reteaching or refreshing. But as I said, I just moved to third grade, and they they are still at that stage where they're having a little bit of trouble with visual representations of numbers. They'll do a problem and they'll get some crazy answer that I'll say, does that really make sense? And they say, I don't know. And so so I think it's
Love it.
really, really important for them to be able to start creating those images in their head so that they can see that if they get an answer that's way off, that they need to go back and try again. So um, when they start computing large numbers, they begin to develop the ballpark estimates naturally. And for example, if a child knows that 4 and 8 tenths plus 48 and 7 tenths must be about 55, then if they get some answer like 5,500, then they know that it's wrong. Um, and, same goes with multiplication. So if they know, that 48 and 7 tenths is about 50 and 48 and 5 tenths is about 5, then they can kind of get a general sense that the answer to that multiplication problem is going to be around 250. Um, it's funny because historically, and I've been a teacher for a long time, um, kids hate estimating, and I don't really understand why. I always tell them that it's important to be able to estimate and to have number sense so that you know that if your answer is reasonable. And it's I love estimation, and I think, it comes from being a broke young teacher where, I had to be able to um, look at the groceries and figure out if I had enough money when I got to the cash register so I wouldn't be embarrassed. And in fact, even last weekend, my daughter and I were at Costco. And as I'm putting things in the cart, it was just automatic. And I got to the cashier and I said, this is going to be about $400. And it was 409.
I love that. That is so cool. I can totally relate to that, being a broke young teacher and being able to estimate in Walmart. That is so funny. And it's very true. I entered into education a little over 10 years ago, and I realized right off that some of these kiddos had better number sense than I did. And because I was never really good at quick mental math as a student, and I'm really still not, but I've gotten better through the use of some of those number sense strategies like estimation and, building friendly numbers and that type of thing. So it's very, very true. Totally understand. So, a big part of building number sense is instilling a deep understanding of place value. So, in your experience, what are some effective ways to help students better understand place value?
I think using manipulatives is always the way to go. As a young teacher, I taught kindergarten and first, so I had that solid foundation of, making things very concrete for them. And I definitely find that third graders need that too. The the base 10 blocks really help them visualize the values of the cube, the flat, and the rod when they know the value of the unit. So if I present the unit as 1, then it's clear and they know that the rod is 10 times larger, the flat is 10 times larger than the rod, the cube is 10 times larger than the flat. Same goes for decimals. If the cube is 1, then it's visually clear that the flat is 10 times less than the cube, and the rod is 10 times less than the flat, and the unit is 10 times less than the rod. They can hold them up and literally, put the little unit against the flat or against the rod and count. But what I find so funny is that they really prefer to work with money. Um, and I think maybe they love money because they've been working with it since kindergarten, but they seem to prefer using coins and paper money to make sense of place value. They totally have that kind of inherent gut knowledge of this penny, this dollar is worth 100 times more than this penny. It's pretty easy for them. So we do work
Absolutely.
with them.
Absolutely. I think that's great. And so not only are they building place value number sense, but they're also working with real life skills, which is awesome. And I also thought it was really interesting to hear you talk about how you presented the visual of the, like your base 10 blocks with the younger kids, because I was always in fifth grade. I've only ever been in fifth grade. So I don't really have the experience with that part of place value. They kind of I have more of the abstract experience rather than the concrete experience. So I thought that was interesting listening to that. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
So, in today's classroom, it is important for teachers to be able to transition between both whole group and small group instruction. So, what number sense activities and lessons have you found to be best for whole group instruction versus small group instruction?
Well, I think number talks are kind of a great go-to because they can learn so much from each other and they can they can work on accountable talk. One of my favorite places to find number talks is Steve Wyburny's, I think that's how you say it, or Wyburny's blog. um, this is not an affiliate plug or anything. He's just a generous math teacher who shares his treasure trove of great math resources for free. My favorites
Awesome.
yeah, my favorites are the SD mysteries. What is the missing? Sorry, what is the mystery number in the box? And Splat. There's also a great website with tons of the ever popular "Which One Doesn't Belong" challenges that are perfect for whole group instruction and discussion.
Awesome. And I will definitely link that in the show notes for any of the teachers who want to check that out because that sounds really helpful.
Yes, and they're already on slides, so honestly, all you have to do is download it and just stick it in your daily presentation. It's so easy, user friendly. Um, and my thing about small groups, I teach nearly everything in small groups, and I run 4 small math groups a day. The reason I do this is because I want to be able to watch every single student in my class reason through problems and help them with misconceptions right away. The way I'm able to do this is because I run a flipped classroom. And if you don't know what a flipped classroom is, it is you don't have traditional homework. They watch a short video and do some exercises the evening or the morning before the class. And then when they come to class, what they're doing is practicing those skills. And so I do have lessons at the teacher table, but I don't really do a whole lot of whole group instruction. Um, they love to they love to represent their thinking by drawing on the table with dry erase markers. And we do that fairly frequently. And, they've gotten very comfortable with making all kinds of representations on the table as they're working and explaining their thinking as they're going. And they also really love using dice to create multi-digit numbers and decimals to compare in order. So, I just give them a handful of dice. Here's 5 dice, roll them. And I use the 10-sided or the 12-sided ones. And if they roll an 11 or a 12 or a 10, I just say roll again because it's too complicated. So, they'll make a 5-digit number, and then I'll say put it in any order that you want, and then how would you round this to the tenths place? How would you round this to the hundreds place? How would you round this to the thousands place? Do you go up or down and that kind of thing?
I
Um,
love that.
they
Yes.
love it. They love that. They're like, oh, dice.
The
um, and dice,
small things.
yeah, dice are easy. They're very portable and small and don't take up a lot of space and relatively cheap to acquire.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely. Hmm.
and then we also do escape rooms occasionally, especially for review and rich math tasks as a whole class in small groups. And for people who don't know what I'm talking about with rich math tasks, I teach in Virginia, and the Virginia Department of Education has an entire section dedicated to math tasks. And they're just multi-step word problems, and it will say solve this 2 ways or 3 ways and use numbers, pictures, and words to solve. And honestly, I if I had one that I could do every week, I would do it because I put them in a group of 3 and they go to town with their big huge poster size sticky note, and they start reasoning and talking and drawing and writing and all of it, and it's super cool to watch.
Wow, I didn't realize that about the Virginia standards or that they provide that for you. That's
Mhm.
really cool. It's like performance tasks. So
Mhm.
that's really cool. And I also love that you work with your students in small groups every day. I love that. I never was able to do it every single day, but I think it's so beneficial for so many reasons. The kids love it. The teacher can assess more accurately. Like you said, you're able to watch them very closely. And then, probably most importantly, the teacher can redirect misconceptions right there in the moment. So I think
Mhm.
that is super beneficial.
Yeah.
And I also am very interested in your flipped classroom model. So that might have to be a second podcast interview for sure. I love
Yay.
that. So we know that many times when teachers are working with small group of students, the other students in the room will be working on math center activities. So what are some of your favorite number sense activities that teachers can provide for their students during those math center times?
What I do is I have a must do and a may do menu every day. And so on the must do menu is typically a worksheet that includes components for demonstrating understanding. I'm not real big on just, kill and drill at all. They need to be able to show me with a picture or, coloring in parts of a hundreds block or,
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
That they demonstrate their understanding. And then I also use a lot of Google resources we have Schoology. We used to use Google Classroom, but we use Schoology now. And so I'll just post different Google Sheets and slides, activities that they can do. And often they'll have digital manipulatives that they can move around so that they can make more sense, or they'll have um, the image of the flat that they have to fill in the columns with colors so that they see, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
I love Google Sheets because they're self-grading. And so, it's kind of like giving a quiz or an exit ticket, but they get some kind of surprise, like a picture that appears or, like a pixel puzzle or something. And it gives them that immediate feedback of whether they got it correct or not. And I love anything that's self-grading. Grading seems to be my Achilles heel. Um, I also use a lot of task cards and scavenger hunts. They they really enjoy the scavenger hunts more, I think, because for one thing, they're self-checking, so they know if they've made a mistake because they're getting the wrong answer on the, previous question. Um, and they also like to kind of zip around the room. Um, then my may do really includes games. I use a lot of card games, file folder games, spinner games, and dice games, and a practice website that the county that I teach in uses that's called ST Math. And
Okay.
ST Math is really cool because it's great for English language learners because it doesn't have any it doesn't have any written directions. Everything is just kind of intuitive. They have to, kind of try something. And if that doesn't work, they have to try something else. And it keeps going like that. So that's kind of different.
Interesting. I've not heard of that. So you said that your county uses it. Is it a district like purchase? So is it available for anyone to use or
I
is it
think
like
so.
okay. Okay. Well, I haven't heard of that. That's really cool. I need to check that out.
Mhm.
And also love must do, may do menus. I use those a lot for my math classes. And I'm sure that you probably use a lot of your own resources that you create as
Mhm.
part of those menu activities. So that's really cool and helpful for you.
Definitely.
So, talk a little bit to us about some engaging ways to teach other math skills like rounding, even odd, prime and composite. So that those kind of things that you have found over the years.
Okay. Well, as a fifth grade teacher that prime and at least in Virginia, we hit the ground running with prime and composite numbers. It's the first unit. And I know some states they do prime and composite in sixth grade, but I have found this may seem really obvious or simplistic, but a great subject for a number talk for prime and composite numbers is the number of days we've been in school.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we just, when I have taught fifth grade math, and when I taught fourth grade, I taught fifth grade math because they're advanced learners.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
So when I've taught fifth grade math, we will touch on this pretty often. And one way I might do it is to put it in the morning message. Today's the 58th day of school. Is 58 a prime or composite number? How do you know? And we talk about it. 58 is easy because all even numbers are composite except for two, and odd numbers are harder. And so they may go into a multi-step explanation, um, and have to say, oh gosh, I thought this number was a prime number, but now I see that it's a composite number because it's divisible by 7 or it's divisible by 3 or whatever. Um, and another fun game is just the what number am I thinking of? And you might write a number on a sticky note and hold it in your hand and ask for or give clues or ask for clues, and say it's an odd number, it's it's a prime number, it has what a 5 in the tens place, it's not whatever, and keep going
Hmm.
from there.
Yes.
So
I
those are
love that. Anytime you can make it a game, perfect.
very fun. And
Yes.
for rounding, I think number lines, all forms of number lines, from clotheslines all the way across the room to really small number lines on worksheets or Google Slides, are really effective for helping children conceptualize how rounding works. Word problems are also great for working on rounding and estimating because, again, like I spoke of before, they're thinking of ballpark, where should this land me? Oh, wow, I'm in the thousands and I really should be in the hundreds. What happened?
I
So,
love that. That's so funny. It's crazy how their little minds work. And then whenever
mhm,
you see that light bulb go off, it's just really cool. I love that.
for sure.
So, yes. So, what is one piece of advice that you would give to elementary teachers who are searching for ways to build number sense in their classrooms?
I just in a nutshell use number talks. I think anytime you can get them talking about numbers and how they relate to each other and where they fall on number lines or anything like that, it helps.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so going back to what I said in the beginning about how I noticed that kids had better number sense than I did, I really attribute that mostly to number talks and how
Mm-hmm.
kids are taught differently now about how to relate to numbers and how
Mm-hmm.
numbers relate to each other. So that's very, very important. So is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't already covered?
Um, I would say, just I've written about most of these things on my blog. So visiting my blog could be beneficial.
Yeah, very good. Yes, and we'll definitely link your blog in the show notes. So go ahead and tell my audience all the places that they can find you if they want to connect with you.
Okay. My blog is Amazing Materials, the number 4U. My Teachers Pay Teacher store is Amazing Materials for the word you by Amy Dickson. So you could probably look at either Amazing Materials for you or um, for my name, and you would be able to find it. I'm also on YouTube, not very often, Facebook, somewhat, TikTok occasionally, and Instagram more often. My email is amazingmaterials for the number 4u at gmail.com.
Excellent. So I will definitely be sure to link all of those ways to contact you and everything else that we discussed in the show notes for today's episode so that my audience can check it all out. And Amy is also contributing some of her resources to Math Madness, which is coming up in just a few weeks. And I'm super excited to have her as part of that event. So be sure to grab your free ticket. You can find that link in the show notes as well. Amy, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to talk to us about number sense. I really enjoyed having you.
Thank you for having me. I loved it. It was fun.
I am excited to let you know that I am hosting a free online event called Math Madness for upper elementary math teachers. If you are listening to this before March 27th, 2024, you still have time to register to get access to tons of free resources, insider details about exclusive sales, and chances to win prizes in our free Facebook group. If you are not already a member of the Facebook group, now is the time to join, because not only will there be prize giveaways happening in there throughout the event, but I will also be posting updates about the event directly to the group members. You can join by searching Upper Elementary Simplified on Facebook or by clicking the link in the show notes and requesting to join that way. Either way, we would love to have you. Registration for Math Madness will be open from February 18th through March 26th. To get registered for the event, head to teachertechstudio.com/register, and that's REGISTER. I will also link that in the show notes for you. You can find that link by going to the episode description in your podcast player app or by heading to upperelementarysimplified.com/podcast. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Upper Elementary Simplified. I hope you are able to take away something useful that will help you grow as a teacher. I do have a quick favor to ask before you go. If you are enjoying the podcast, please let me know by leaving me a review. It really does make a difference because reviews impact search results, which helps me to expand my reach to other educators. Plus, I love to read my listeners' comments. Until next time, keep life simple.